What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Blackfire Technical Analysis YouTube channel. I am your host, Crypto Bro, also known as Brian, also known as that guy, douchebag, and plenty of other things. But I digress. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are back at it again with another edition of the daily live stream. I'm going to be a little less energized today. I have a raging headache right now, but we're going to go full swing into this analysis because I do believe we have plenty to talk about here today. I think I'm just going to hop right on to it. That's right. Let's go ahead and check out Mr. NASDAQ here. Looking at the weekly, I just wanted to get a little bit of a perspective of what the weekly chart is setting up to look like here. And we are still kind of geared to be looking for lower lows on the weekly time frame, which would indicatively, confirm a bearish market to the downside for NASDAQ here. And again, from a longer term perspective, stochastics doesn't look very delicious either, rejecting the top side of the bearish control zone. Still at the end of the day, the sentiment is going to remain the same on basically everything that I'm looking at here. We're just going to identify a couple of conditions here that would likely reverse that sentiment to the downside, and they're quite simple. Not only are we looking for open and closures above the 21, but I would like to see continuation drives all the way to new swing highs above $15,220 here for NASDAQ. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for pressure to the downside, and here's why. Again, we are still below the 21 exponential here. We continue to see the momentum negatively increase here for both moving averages, the red 10 and the 21 exponential. We do see RSI coiling around, playing around with the top side of the bearish control zone. Again, don't want to get too far into it. It's basically the same. I was gonna look for bounces today on these new lower lows, and guess what? We got bounces on the support. Boom, back up, basically confirming this region as tentative support once again at $13,080 here. So it wouldn't be out of the question to see it pop back up to $13,480. But again, I'm going to be looking for lower lows ultimately. The next target that I'm going to be looking for is 12,325, spot 50 to the downside. Any pump up, unless proven otherwise, I'm going to be looking for it to get tentatively rejected heavily, especially approaching that 21 exponential. But again, I did draw a little bit of a diagram, just kind of like willy-nilly, like if this, decided to pop back up, in theory, over time, and it could do this a couple of times, and then and at the end of the day, that looks pretty fucking bearish. Still looks pretty bearish, but I digress. Anything can happen, ladies and gentlemen. Just the evidence being presented to me. Stochastics is still pointed downward, still coiling in the bearish critical territory. It still looks detrimental, at least from a bullish perspective. I am going to be looking for continuation down, bar a pop back up again to tentative resistance at 13,470, maybe up to the 21, right around 13,880. But until I see an open and closure above there, I'm going to be looking for a target down to 12,35. Moving on, SPY futures. I am going to keep this one a little bit on the quick side here, again, because I don't have that much to update. Allergy season is in full swing. Likely explains some of my headaches right now. SPY futures here, same thing, putting in new lower lows, bouncing on support, remaining support at 4150, spot 25. Would not be out of the question to see continuation up to $4,300 even. God, itchy ass nose, man. Yeah, wouldn't be out of the question to see a pop back up to $4,300 even, maybe even to the top side of blue box territory, right around 43.75, right around the 21 exponential. But again, at the end of the day, I'm going to be looking for continuation towards 4,050. I'm going to be looking for tentative rejection at the first resistance, about $4,300 even, and then even heavier tentative resistance at 43.70 if it does indeed decide to move to the upside. But again, same sentiment, playing around with the bearish control zone top, not looking too spicy. Stochastics diving deeper into the bearish critical territory, putting in new lows as well. Again, none of this speaks volumes to the bullish perspective until proven otherwise, which would be, again, an open and closure above the 21 and new highs above the swing high, the prior swing high here. That's the only thing that's going to convince me that this is going to swing back to a bullish flip. Now, obviously, if it does close above the 21, I have a trade to take, right? Just like if we see an open and closure below the 21, I have a trade to take, right? I play my edge and I play it very aggressively, but until I see that happen, I'm looking for the downside. Dow Jones Industrial here actually going a little sideways here, actually closing a little higher than yesterday. Same sentiment here, still looking for a retest. Technically, you could say close enough is close enough, but I'm still going to be looking for more pressure to be applied to the 32,900 support here, and possibly a stab to lower lows all the way down to $32,000 even. And you know, kind of same thing, lower high on stochastics back into the bearish control zone doesn't spell awesomeness for the bullish perspective. RSI, after rejecting the exponential yesterday, continuing further down today. Yes, in theory, we could have some formulation of an uptrend structure. From all accounts, realistically, from all accounts, we could say, oh, we have a little bit. Bullshit. Until proven otherwise. Until I see a higher low, or until I see evidence of reversal, I'm still going to be looking for the same target as yesterday, $32,000 even. Moving on, I want to talk about government bonds here. I had a guy at work said, yeah, this one looks like it's ready to tip over. The fuck you're talking about, bud? Government bonds here, bouncing off the 21 exponential, going for a potential higher low. I would be looking for a possible move above the red 10 simple here. There are a couple of considerable factors for both perspectives, but I'm going to stick with the bullish one for right now. Government bonds bouncing off the 21 exponential, continuing to utilize it as tentative support and shattering through support as well. I would say today, if we see today's candle closure above the support level at 2.8%, I'm going to be looking for another stab at the current highs, which is about 2.95% here, and possibly to new highs as well. The only considerable consideration otherwise is, in my opinion, that rejection of the negatively sloped exponential, escaping out of the bullish control territory and potentially going to utilize the bottom side of that as tentative resistance. Yeah. Realistically, in my opinion, we could see a pull if we do see downside momentum. I want to see an open and closure below the 21, at which point I'd look for a retest of this low here, which is, in my opinion, an inconsequential low around 2.33%. And possibly even lower, all the way down to 1.95%. But again, from a higher low trajectory standpoint, I'm looking at macro lows here, and we have a few of them to be in consideration of to confirm this as an uptrend. Here's a really good one here. Here's another really good one here. Here's a really good one here. I would say if this one decides to turn around just a little bit, we could put a higher low here or here and still see the trending motion continue to the upside. The only thing that convinces me that the US government bonds are going to flip is if we take out this low right here, and that's it. That's the only thing that's going to convince me that this one likely goes bearish here. We do still see some pressure to the downside from stochastics, but we're seeing that the bottom side of that bullish control zone putting a little weight on it. It's not as negatively sloped as the prior few days. And again, we do have a trend line here to be in consideration of. Again, when in doubt, look at your chart. We could see stochastics perform a little bit of a bullish cool down here, do something like that, and then continue to be bullish at the same time. It's all about perspective, but my perspective is this thing is bullish as fuck. I don't see any bearish evidence, not only from the daily time frame, but let's talk about the damn weekly time frame here. Could top out on the weekly, actually. It could, yeah, it definitely could top out on the weekly here. Weekly stochastics, higher highs confirmed. We could see some weekly coiling, but that would take some considerable time to see. I would say, it is possible, at least from a weekly perspective, to see a little bit more of a pullback. But again, that doesn't change my bullish perspective here. This thing has absolutely been explosive since that, W formation bottom on the daily time frame, all the way back here. It's just been fucking moving ever since. So, you know, until proven otherwise, I'm bullish. US dollar index, absolutely fucking bullish. Target has been met, target has been met, target has been met, and we're looking for continuation to the next possible target here. Going to be looking for this candle here to blast through the 103 spot 700 resistance, at which point I'm going to be looking for moves towards the 1 spot 272 Fibonacci extension around 105 spot 70. This one is absolutely explosive. I've been saying it's absolutely explosive for quite some time. Now, with that said, we do have the possibility of seeing some divergences open up over time. Obviously, we have nothing to suggest any divergences currently available on this chart here, but I would imagine if we pull back, print a higher low, and then we see momentum oscillators confirm lower highs as this one is, you know, blasting its way to higher highs, we could potentially see some divergences start opening up, and that's when I'd be looking for more pullbacks. For now, the only thing, again, that would convince me of, you know, even a major pullback would be a swift open and closure below the 21 exponential. And the only thing that convinces me that this one's going bearish, in my opinion, would be an open and closure below 97 spot 86 at this point. I am going to be looking at this as a considerable, you know, higher low structure. This region here where we saw some consolidation. This is a major point. This is a point of interest, in my opinion. And until we see open and closures below that region here, I'm looking for the fucking moon. Moving on. I'm going to check out a couple of stocks. I forgot Twitter yesterday, so we'll go ahead and start off with that. Nice little pullback into the red 10 simple here. We do see stochastic still above the exponential, given a little bit of weakness here, but still moving to the upside, so the momentum is still there. But what I don't like is the rejection of the bottom side of the bullish control zone, forcing the RSI below the exponential and forcing the exponential negative. That does suggest a little bit more of a pullback. I would realistically be looking for a test of the 21 exponential, maybe even the bottom side of the blue box territory, but I digress. We still remain above the 21 exponential here, and as long as that condition is the same, I'm still going to be planning for a potential move above 53 spot 85 here. But again, there are a couple of indications here, one or two indications here suggesting a little bit more downside before anything else. Moving on, Netflix is in the floor, no analysis. That one's just dying. Die Netflix. Sorry. Hall of Fame Village, still no real updates. Same sentiment, still bearish as hell. Still looking for the floor. Still looking for 75 cents here. Stochastics entering the bearish critical territory for the first time since we escaped it back in March 14th-ish, I would say. March 14th, March 15th. So that is significant, and stochastics remains coiling in the bearish critical territory. This thing's fucking absolutely bearish. Absolutely no-go, no good at all. Looking for the floor. Apple, confirming tentative resistance today. I am going to be looking for continuation further down towards 150 spot 45 here. RSI still below the negatively sloped exponential and continuing to the downside. Stochastics here coiling and confirming lower lows today. This one likely continues to the downside unless I'm proven otherwise. We do have a little bit of a reverse hammer. Reversal style candlesticks, so it would also be possible to see a pop above this resistance and see a test of the red 10 simple. But again, just like the rest of the market here, the only thing that convinces me otherwise, the only thing that convinces me to take a bullish trade with bullish momentum is an open and closure above the 21, and that's it. Until that condition is met, I'm looking down, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking down. Microsoft, same thing. This one actually did pop up above the red 10 simple with a close above the red 10 simple and tested the 21. Realistically, with this one, we see momentum oscillators starting to curl back up a little bit, so I do have to give this one a little bit of leeway. This could be a trade coming up for me. This could be a trade coming up for me. This could very, very well be a trade coming up for me. We do see our stochastics, while it's been coiling, it's kind of coiling in an upward fashion here. There is a show of momentum from a bullish perspective present, in my opinion, and we do have a low call, boom, with a shot above the exponential, forcing into a positive slope. Maybe we have a trend line. Yeah, I consider that trend line broken here a little while ago, a couple days ago. And I'm still considering it broken. I'm still considering it resistance until tomorrow closes above it. But if we get some warning shots, if we see a breach of the 50 read here and momentum oscillators start crossing some critical threshold points, I'm going to be looking for a possible trade here. Again, this one's kind of the outlier. This one actually moved up, significantly enough for me to say, a little bit of a red flag. What's going on? Maybe the earnings. Definitely the earnings. Earnings was good for Microsoft. So, maybe we see some continuation. Maybe we don't. But at the same time, we did just confirm lower lows in a downtrending structure. So at the same time, while I am looking for a possible trade, I'm still going to remain bearish until, you guessed it, we open and close above the 21 and close on higher highs above 315 spot 49. Until then, as long as we remain below the 21 exponential, I'm going to be looking for moves all the way down to 262 even. Moving on, AMD, bad. Breaking support today. I'll look for confirmation of resistance here tomorrow at $85 even. If that condition is confirmed, I'm going to be looking for a downside continuation towards 79 spot 50. Give or take a few bucks, and the momentum oscillator is not looking too hot either. RSI breaking into the bearish control zone and not a good look, confirming a lower high on the exponential, not a good look. Stochastics curling back down, forcefully coiling in the bearish critical territory, not looking good. At some point, though, you guys got to think this is gonna break. This has got to break to the upside at some point. But for now, as long as those conditions remain the same, I'm bearish. Nvidia, same thing, confirming lower lows again and confirming new tentative resistance. I'm going to be looking for moves towards this region here at 178 spot 50. Any open and closure below there, I think, is a fucking landslide to the next target, which I haven't put up yet. Hold on. Say right here. If we see an open and closure below 178 spot 50, I'm going to be looking for a full move all the way down to 157 spot 50. Give or take a few bucks. RSI, again, into the bearish control zone, not good. Stochastics back down, lower lows in the bearish critical territory. I can't say we wouldn't see a bounce here. It's very possible we see a bounce here, but pressure is so on to the downside. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely unbelievable. Moving on, we're going to check out Bitcoin, and that's going to do it for the stream here today. I did want to keep this one a little bit on the quicker side because not much has changed, not much has changed. Looking at Bitcoin, still below the 21 exponential, popping back up, testing the red 10 simple currently, testing the top side resistance. I'm going to be looking for this to reject, and I'm going to be looking for moves below 36,850 here. I'm actually going to be looking for moves towards like $35,000 even. Now, we do have something weird here on momentum oscillators. We do have a possible higher low in formation here for our stochastics. But again, that doesn't really cut the cake for me, right? Doesn't really cut the cake. And open and closure above the 21 cut the cake for me. RSI rejecting the exponential again. It does look like it's starting to round out on the bottom a little bit though, but it's in bearish neutral territory. This is kind of the one I'm going to have to wait and see, but any open and closure above the 21, I'll look for moves towards the next resistance at 44,180, maybe 44,2. But if we remain below the 21 exponential, no matter what, I'm going to be looking for continuation towards 35,000. Plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen, plain and simple. And that's going to do it for the stream today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get off here, rest my head, play some Elden Ring. You guys can come along and check out the Elden Ring live stream. I'm on Journey 3. Just kind of keep bullshitting and discovering and, try to platinum the game, yada, yada, yada. And I'll be back again tomorrow. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. Stay safe. Stay happy.